The world is full of mysteries that defy our logic and spark our imagination. From the Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes disappear without explanation, to the legendary Atlantis, a civilization lost beneath the waves. Each of these mysteries raises questions that have captivated generations. What secrets does the Boyce manuscript hold, written in a language that no one has been able to decipher? Does the Lake Ness monster really exist, or is it just a myth that refuses to die? These stories are just a few of the many mysteries that surround us. Of Lake Ness, or is it just a myth that refuses to die? These stories take us to the limits of the unknown, between reality and legend. In this video, we will explore the most fascinating and baffling mysteries that have left their mark on history and the human mind. If you are intrigued by the inexplicable and want to discover what lies behind these enigmas, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these exciting stories. In the vast Atlantic Ocean lies a region shrouded in mystery and legend, the Bermuda Triangle. This enigmatic place, bordered by the Bermuda Islands, Puerto Rico, and Miami, has been the scene of countless unexplained disappearances of ships and planes over the centuries. The story begins with the arrival of the first navigators who, driven by curiosity and the desire to explore the unknown, ventured into these treacherous waters. As their ships sailed across the sea, a strange feeling of unease took hold of the crews, as if an invisible force were watching them from the depths. Over time, reports of mysterious disappearances began to accumulate, each more baffling than the last. Sailors spoke of sudden storms that arose out of nowhere, swallowing entire ships without a trace. Others told stories of compasses spinning out of control, as if the Earth's magnetism had been altered by an unknown force in the air. Pilots experienced unexplained failures in their instruments, losing their bearings and disappearing into the vast blue sky. These stories, passed from mouth to mouth, fueled the legend of the Bermuda Triangle, turning it into a place feared and avoided by many. As science advanced, researchers began to search for rational explanations for the phenomena of the Bermuda Triangle. Some suggested that ocean currents and extreme weather conditions were responsible for the disappearances. Others proposed more esoteric theories, such as the existence of portals to other dimensions or the influence of lost civilizations. However, despite efforts to unravel the mystery, the Bermuda Triangle continued to defy human understanding, maintaining its aura of enigma and attracting those who sought to uncover its secrets. In the heart of the triangle, the waters seemed to take on a life of their own, whispering stories of ancient times. It is said that at the bottom of the ocean lie the remains of forgotten civilizations whose secrets could hold the key to understanding the unexplained phenomena of the region. Underwater explorers equipped with advanced technology venture into the depths in search of answers, facing treacherous currents and unknown sea creatures. However, the ocean jealously guards its secrets, revealing only fragments of its history to those who dare to challenge its domain. Meanwhile, on the surface, ships continue to sail through the Bermuda Triangle, their crews off the risk they run when entering these waters. Some return with stories of strange encounters, lights in the sky, and unexplained sounds that echo in the night. Others never return, their fates shrouded in the mystery that has characterized this region for centuries. Despite technological advances and accumulated knowledge, the Bermuda Triangle remains a place where logic and reason meet the unknown, a reminder that there are still mysteries in the world that escape our understanding. The Bermuda Triangle remains a symbol of the inexplicable, a place where history, mythology, and science intertwine in a tapestry of mystery. It attracts adventurers, scientists, and the curious alike, each hoping to unravel its secrets and discover the truth behind the legends. However, the Triangle remains an enigma, a reminder that despite our efforts to understand the world around us, there will always be places that defy our understanding and invite us to explore the unknown. In the vast ocean lay the legendary Atlantis, a city of unimaginable splendor. Its white marble towers rose majestically, reflecting the sunlight like mirrors that dazzled sailors who ventured near its shores. Hanging gardens filled with exotic flowers and fruit trees perfumed the air with an intoxicating fragrance, while crystal-clear water gushed from every corner, creating endless streams that wound their way through the city. Atlantis was a paradise on Earth, a place where science and magic coexisted in perfect harmony, while crystal-clear fountains sprang up on every corner, creating endless streams that meandered through the city. Atlantis was a place where nature and architecture intertwined in a harmonious dance, a testament to the ingenuity and creativity of its inhabitants. The Atlanteans, a people of wisdom and power, had mastered the arts and sciences in a way that defied the understanding of neighboring civilizations. Their libraries housed scrolls and tablets containing knowledge about the cosmos, medicine, and philosophy written by the greatest thinkers of their time. The Atlanteans were also masters of manipulating energy, using giant crystals that captured sunlight to power their machines and provide energy to the entire city. This advanced technology allowed them to build colossal structures and develop a society that prospered in peace and abundance. However, beneath the surface of this utopia, unrest was brewing that threatened to destabilize the balance of Atlantis. The ambition of some of its leaders began to grow, fueled by the desire to expand their dominion beyond the ocean's borders. These leaders, blinded by their thirst for power, began to experiment with forces they did not fully understand. Unleashing energies that disrupted the delicate balance of nature, the city's wise men, aware of the imminent danger, tried to warn their rulers, but their words were ignored, drowned out by the echo of arrogance and greed. As the experiments continued, the earth itself began to respond with fury. Earthquakes shook the city, and the sea that had once been its protector became its enemy. The waters began to rise, slowly engulfing the coasts of Atlantis. Once had been their protector became their enemy. The waters began to rise, slowly engulfing the coasts of Atlantis. The Atlanteans, in their desperation, sought refuge in the temples, imploring their gods for salvation. But the gods, offended by the pride of men, remained silent, watching as the city that had once been a beacon of light and knowledge sank into darkness. The climax of this catastrophe, a great cataclysm, shook Atlantis, splitting the earth in two and submerging the city into the ocean's abyss. The marble towers crumbled, the gardens drowned beneath the waves, and the cries of the Atlanteans were lost in the roar of the sea. In a matter of hours, Atlantis, with all its glory and splendor, disappeared without a trace, becoming a myth, a legend that would endure throughout the centuries. With the passage of time, Atlantis became a symbol of warning, a story told by the elders to new generations about the dangers of arrogance and the abuse of power. Although the city was lost forever in the depths of the ocean, its legacy lived on in the memory of humanity, reminding us that even the greatest civilizations can fall if they forget to respect the balance of nature and the limits of their own ambition. In a forgotten corner of the vast library of a medieval monastery, a manuscript lay hidden under layers of dust and cobwebs. This book, known as the Boyce manuscript, was shrouded in an aura of mystery that seemed to emanate from its yellowed pages. Its pages were covered with indecipherable writing, a language that no scholar had been able to decipher. The illustrations accompanying the text were equally enigmatic. Plants that did not exist in any known herbarium, astronomical diagrams that defied the constellations of the firmament, and human figures that seemed to be participating in arcane rituals. The atmosphere surrounding the manuscript was dense, as if each page contained secrets from a lost world, an echo of a civilization that had left its mark on time in an indelible way. As one delved deeper into the manuscript, the botanical illustrations became increasingly intricate. The plants, with their impossibly shaped leaves and flowers, seemed to come to life on the page. It was as if the author had captured the essence of a garden from another world, a place where nature followed laws different from those of Earth. the roots intertwined in complex patterns, and the flowers seemed to emit an ethereal glow. The colors, though faded by the passage of time, still retained a vibrant intensity that mesmerized the viewer. Each plant seemed to tell its own story, a tale of growth and transformation that unfolded in silence, waiting to be understood by those who could decipher its hidden language. In another section of the manuscript, astronomical diagrams offered a vision of the cosmos that defied human comprehension. Concentric circles intertwined with unknown symbols, forming a star map that did not correspond to any known celestial chart. The stars, intertwined with unknown symbols, forming a star map that did not correspond to any known celestial chart. The stars were arranged in configurations that suggested an alternative cosmic order, a parallel universe where the laws of physics were different. In the center of these diagrams, human figures raised their hands toward the sky, as if trying to communicate with the stars or invoke forces beyond their understanding. The feeling of being in the presence of forbidden knowledge was palpable. Palpable, as if the manuscript were a gateway to a realm of ancient wisdom that had been deliberately hidden from humanity. The human figures that populated the manuscript were equally enigmatic, depicted in scenes that seemed ritualistic. These figures moved in a world of symbols and hidden meanings. Some were submerged in waters that flowed in impossible patterns, while others held objects of unknown power. Their faces, though vaguely human, had an expression of serenity and purpose, as if they were in communion with invisible forces. The scene seemed to narrate a story of spiritual transformation, a journey toward self-knowledge and enlightenment that transcended the limitations of the physical world. It was as if the manuscript were a manual of spiritual alchemy, a guide for those seeking to transcend ordinary reality and attain a higher state of consciousness. As one progressed through the manuscript, the sense of mystery intensified. The pages seemed to vibrate with an energy of their own, as if the book were alive and aware of being observed. The symbols and illustrations intertwined in a tapestry of hidden meanings, challenging the reader to unravel their secrets. It was as if the manuscript were a cosmic riddle, a challenge thrown down to humanity by a higher intelligence. The feeling of being on the verge of a momentous discovery was inescapable, as if each page offered a clue to knowledge that could change the course of history. However, the manuscript jealously guarded its secrets, resisting complete understanding. Upon reaching the last pages of the manuscript, one could not help but feel a mixture of awe and frustration. The book, with its indecipherable writing and enigmatic illustrations, remained an impenetrable enigma. Nevertheless, the experience of exploring its pages left an indelible mark on the reader's soul. The Boyce manuscript, with its aura of mystery and its promise of hidden knowledge, remained a testimony to the human capacity to dream and seek answers beyond the known. It was a reminder that in the vast universe there were still secrets to be discovered, and that the journey toward knowledge was in itself a destination worth pursuing. In the misty lands of Scotland lies the vast and enigmatic Loch Ness. This deep, dark body of water has been the setting for countless legends that intertwine with the very history of the region. At the heart of these stories lies a creature that defies human understanding. The Loch Ness Monster is said to appear on the quietest of nights, when the moon reflects on the water like a silver mirror. A shadow glides beneath the surface, barely perceptible but unmistakable to those who have had the fortune or misfortune to glimpse the creature affectionately known as Nessie. It has been described in many ways, but always with an air of mystery that leaves witnesses with more questions than answers. The ancient Celts, with their deep reverence for nature, believed that the lake was home to a giant serpent with a serpentine body and a human-like head. They believed that the creature was a guardian of the lake and would only emerge when it felt threatened with more questions than answers. The ancient Celts who inhabited these lands long before written words could capture their stories spoke of a being that lived in the depths of the lake. For them, Nessie was not simply a monster, but a guardian of forgotten secrets, a water spirit that connected the world of men with that of the gods. The wise and mystical druids performed rituals on the shores of the lake, seeking the creature's blessing to ensure abundant harvests and protect their clans from the evils that lurked in the darkness. In their visions, Nei appeared as a majestic being with scales that shone like jewels in the sun and eyes that reflected the wisdom of centuries. Over time, the stories of Nessie were transformed, adapting to the beliefs and fears of each generation. During the Middle Ages, when Christianity spread throughout Europe, the creature was seen as a manifestation of the unknown, a reminder that the world was still full of wonders and dangers beyond human understanding. The monks who inhabited the monasteries near the lake wrote chronicles about encounters with a monster, describing it as a water dragon that emerged from the depths to punish sinners and protect the righteous. These stories, although tinged with religious morality, kept alive the essence of a being that defied the laws of nature. In the modern era, with the advancement of science and technology, the monster of Lake Ness became an enigma that attracted explorers and curious people from all over the world. Equipped with cameras, sonar, and submarines, these adventurers ventured into the waters of the lake in search of evidence of Nessie's existence. However, the lake, with its unfathomable depths and treacherous currents, jealously guarded its secrets. The blurry images and dry sonar readings only served to fuel the mystery, leaving researchers with more questions than answers. Despite technological advances, Nessie remained an elusive specter, a shadow in the water that vanished before it could be captured. As stories of Nessie spread around the world, the lake became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking the inexplicable. Families, scientists, and adventurers gathered on its shores, hoping for a glimpse of the creature that had captured the imagination of so many. Local taverns were filled with tales of sightings, each more fantastic than the last, while the locals smiled knowingly, aware that the true charm of Nessie did not lie in its physical existence, but in the power of its legend to unite people in a shared sense of wonder and possibility. The Loch Ness Monster remains a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that even in a world where science seems to have all the answers, there are still mysteries that escape our understanding. Nessie, with its ethereal presence, invites us to look beyond the obvious, to explore the depths of our imagination, and to accept that sometimes the most powerful stories are those that can never be fully explained. In the silence of the lake, under the blanket of the starry night, Nessie continues to swim, an echo of ancient times that resonates in the hearts of all those who dare to dream. In the heart of a dense and mysterious jungle lay the colony of Roanoke, a settlement that had been founded with the hope of a new beginning in unknown lands. The colonists, men and women of diverse skills, had arrived with dreams of prosperity, but the land that welcomed them was as enigmatic as it was unforgiving. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the colony began to integrate into the environment, building wooden huts and cultivating the land in the hope of a bountiful harvest. However, nature, with its wild beauty, also brought unforeseen challenges. Storms raged with fury, and the nights were so dark that they seemed to devour the starlight. The settlers, although determined, could not ignore the feeling of being watched in the shadows of the jungle. Invisible eyes seemed to follow their every move. The natives of the region, with whom the settlers had tried to establish a relationship of mutual respect, spoke in whispers of ancient spirits that had inhabited the earth since time immemorial. These stories, though fascinating, sowed a seed of unease in the hearts of the newcomers. The disappearance of objects and the appearance of strange symbols carved into the trees increased the feeling that something inexplicable was happening. The settlers began to wonder if they had disturbed an ancient balance by settling in that place. As time passed, tension in the colony grew, supplies began to run low, and hopes of receiving reinforcements from across the ocean faded with each ship that failed to arrive. Despair took hold of some, while others clung to their faith and hoped that things would get better. However, the jungle, with its deafening silence, seemed to have other plans. One night, when the full moon lit up the sky with a silvery glow, a group of settlers decided to venture beyond the known limits in search of answers, or perhaps a new home. They never returned, and their disappearance became an echo of mystery that resonated in the hearts of those left behind. The following days were a whirlwind of uncertainty. The remaining settlers found themselves divided between those who wanted to wait and those who wanted to follow their companions in search of an uncertain fate. The jungle, with its cloak of shadows and secrets, seemed to whisper promises of hidden revelations. Amidst this crossroads, an unexpected discovery changed the course of events. A child, while exploring near the river, found a series of stones arranged in a pattern that did not seem natural. The stones, covered with moss and thyme, formed a perfect circle, and in its center, an unknown symbol glowed with a faint light, as if it were alive. This discovery aroused a mixture of fear and curiosity among the settlers. Some interpreted it as a warning sign, while others saw it as a message of hope. However, before they could reach a consensus, a storm of epic proportions broke out over the colony. The winds howled like wild beasts, and the rain fell with such intensity that it seemed to want to erase the very existence of the settlement. In the midst of the chaos, the colonists clung to whatever they could. But when the storm finally subsided, the colony of Roke had disappeared without a trace. Only the circle of stones remained intact, a silent witness to what had happened. Over time, the story of the disappearance of the colony of Ran Oak became a legend, an enigma that defied understanding. The explorers who arrived later found only the silence of the jungle and the echo of the whispers of the spirits. The mystery of Roanoke became a reminder that there are forces in the world that escape human reason, and that nature, with its beauty and power, holds secrets that may never be revealed. The jungle, with its cloak of shadows, continued to grow, forever hiding the answers to the questions that the colonists took with them. In the depths of the ocean, a mystery was brewing that had baffled sailors and scholars alike. The Kraken, a creature of colossal proportions, lived in the shadows of the northern seas. Its existence was shrouded in legends and whispers of terror. It was said that its tentacles were as long as the masts of the largest ships, and that its fury could unleash storms capable of sinking entire fleets. Fishermen returning from their work told stories of missing ships and a roar that echoed in the darkest nights, a sound that made the blood run cold and made even the bravest of men tremble. In a coastal village, a group of young adventurers decided to unravel the enigma of the Kraken, armed with ancient maps and tales from sailors who had survived encounters with it. They embarked on a journey into the unknown. Their ship, though small, was prepared to face the adversities of the sea. As they ventured further into the deep waters, the weather became increasingly hostile, as if the ocean itself were trying to protect the secret it held in its depths. The waves rose like liquid walls, and the wind howled with a force that seemed to want to tear the sails from the ship howled with a force that seemed to want to tear the sails from their masts. During the voyage, the adventurers began to notice signs of the Kraken's presence. Wreckage floated adrift, and at night the sea glowed with an unnatural light, as if the stars had fallen from the sky to illuminate the path to the beast. On one such night, as the full moon reflected on the water, the ship was shaken by an invisible force. The young men rushed to the deck, and there on the horizon they saw a gigantic silhouette emerge. It was the Kraken. Its eyes glowed with ancient intelligence, and its body moved with terrifying grace. The confrontation was inevitable. The Kraken, with its tentacles spread out, surrounded the ship, and the adventurers, armed with harpoons and nets, prepared to fight for their lives. The battle was fierce. The sea became a battlefield where each wave was another enemy. The Kraken's tentacles moved with astonishing speed, knocking down masts and breaking planks, while the young men fought bravely, trying to wound the creature. At its most vulnerable points, the air was filled with screams and the sound of water hitting wood, a symphony of chaos and bravery. As the battle dragged on, the adventurers began to understand that the Kraken was not simply a beast, but a creature of great wisdom and power. Its attacks were not random, but calculated, as if it were testing the determination of its opponents in a moment of clarity. One of the young men remembered a passage from an ancient manuscript that spoke of a pact between humans and the Kraken, an agreement forgotten by time that must be renewed to ensure peace in the seas. With this revelation, the adventurers changed their approach, seeking to communicate with the creature instead of destroying it. In an act of desperation and hope, the young men threw their weapons into the sea and knelt in surrender. The Kraken, as if understanding the gesture, stopped and looked at the humans with its piercing eyes. At that moment, the sea calmed, and an inexplicable connection was established between them. The adventurers understood that the true mystery of the Kraken was not its destructive power, but its role as guardian of the secrets of the ocean, a being that protected the balance between the human world and the sea. With this new understanding, they returned to their village, bringing with them not only the story of their encounter, but also a renewed respect for the forces of nature that dwell in the depths of the sea. In the heart of ancient Egypt stood the majestic Valley of the Kings, a place where time seemed to have stood still. There, among the shadows of the rocky hills, lay the tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun, sealed for centuries by sand and oblivion. The story begins when a group of archaeologists, led by the intrepid Howard Carter, ventured into this enigmatic landscape in search of lost treasures. With each step they took, the air became denser, charged with an ancient mystery that seemed to whisper warnings to those who dared to disturb the eternal rest of the pharaoh. As the archaeologists approached the entrance to the tomb, a feeling of unease came over them. The sealed door, covered with hieroglyphics telling stories of gods and kings, seemed to watch with invisible eyes. With trembling hands, Carter and his team began to remove the stones blocking the entrance, revealing a dark passageway that descended into the bowels of the earth. The air inside was heavy and dense, as if time itself had stopped in that place. As they advanced, the walls of the passageway narrowed, covered with inscriptions warning of a curse that would fall upon those who disturbed the pharaoh's rest. After what seemed like an eternity, the archaeologists reached the burial chamber. There, in the center of the room, stood the sarcophagus of Tutankhamun, gleaming in the torchlight. The gold and precious stones that adorned the sarcophagus shone with an almost supernatural intensity, as if the young pharaoh still wielded his power from beyond the grave. However, it was not the splendor of the treasures that captured the explorer's attention, but an inscription engraved on the sarcophagus warning of the wrath of the gods for those who dared to desecrate the tomb. As the days turned into weeks, strange events began to occur among the members of the excavation team. Unexplained illnesses, unfortunate accidents, and a series of mysterious deaths sowed fear among the archaeologists. The curse of Tutankhamun, which had been dismissed as superstition, seemed to come to life, casting its shadow over all those who had entered the tomb. Rumors of the curse spread quickly, capturing the imagination of the world and turning the story of Tutankhamun into a legend that transcended time and space. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, news of the curse attracted curious adventurers from all over, eager to unravel the mystery surrounding the young pharaoh. However, those who came too close to the tomb soon discovered that the price of curiosity could be high. The curse, like an invisible specter, seemed to haunt those who dared to defy it, reminding them that some secrets of the past were meant to remain hidden. The story of Tutankhamun became a reminder of the fragility of life and the unbreakable power of the ancient Egyptian gods. With the passage of time, Tutankhamun's tomb became a symbol of the eternal struggle between man and the unknown. The curse, though never proven, left an indelible mark on history, reminding everyone that the past, with its mysteries and wonders, always holds secrets that defy human understanding. In the silence of the desert, the tomb of the young pharaoh remains an enigma, a reminder that sometimes the true treasure is not gold or jewels, but knowledge and respect for those who came before us in a distant time. The arts emerged, artifacts that defied logic, and the understanding of men. These objects, found in layers of earth where they should not exist, seemed to whisper secrets of a past that did not fit with known history. In a valley hidden by mist-covered mountains, a group of explorers stumbled upon a strange metal device embedded in the rock, as if it had been placed there by invisible hands. Its surface, covered with intricate engravings, reflected the sunlight in a kaleidoscope of colors. When they touched it, the explorers felt a vibration that resonated in their bones, as if the artifact were alive. As the explorers studied the artifact, they began to notice patterns in the engravings that resembled constellations, but not those that adorned the night sky of their time. They were maps of stars that did not exist in known astronomical records, as if they belonged to a sky from another world or a forgotten time. Intrigued, the explorers took the artifact back to their camp, where they spent nights, decoding its secrets. With each discovery, they delved deeper into a mystery that seemed to expand beyond the limits of their understanding, as if the artifact were a gateway to ancient knowledge. On a particularly clear night, when the stars shone with unusual intensity, one of the explorers, a wise old man known for his intuition, had a vision in his mind. He saw an ancient, advanced civilization beyond imagination that had flourished on Earth long before recorded history on Earth long before history began to be written. This civilization, in its quest for knowledge, had created the U-parts as tools to explore not only their world, but also the confines of the universe. However, a cataclysm of unimaginable proportions had erased their existence, leaving only these artifacts as silent witnesses to their greatness. Over time, the explorers began to experience strange phenomena around the artifact. Nearby plants bloomed out of season, and animals behaved strangely, in unusual ways, as if the artifact emitted an energy that altered the environment. Fascinated and fearful at the same time, the explorers realized that the artifact not only contained knowledge, but also a power that defied the laws of nature. This discovery led them to question the true nature of the arts and the purpose for which they had been created. As days turned into weeks, the explorers faced a crucial decision. Some believed that the artifact should be destroyed, fearing that its power could unleash forces they could not control. Others, however, saw it as an opportunity to learn and advance, a gift from a lost civilization that could illuminate the path to a brighter future. The tension among the explorers grew, and the camp divided into factions, each defending its vision with fervor. On a stormy night, as lightning lit up the sky and the wind howled through the mountains, the artifact began to emit an intense glow. The explorers gathered around and watched in amazement as the engravings on its surface moved and changed, forming new constellations and symbols. At that moment, they understood that the artifact was not just an object from the past, but a bridge to the unknown, a reminder that the history of humanity was intertwined with mysteries that still awaited discovery. On the imposing moai statues stand on the remote island of Easter Island, silent guardians of an ancient history that unfolds like a tapestry of enigmas. The island, known for its vast expanses of volcanic land and its isolation from the rest of the world, is the setting for a civilization that flourished in the middle of nowhere. The moai, with their serene faces and colossal bodies, seem to observe the horizon as if waiting for the return of something lost in time. The story begins with the arrival of the first inhabitants, intrepid navigators who sailed the waters in search of a new home. These pioneers, guided by the stars and the wind, found in the island a refuge and a challenge, a place where nature dictated the rules of survival. As the community grew, so did its connection with the environment and its spiritual beliefs. The moai, sculpted with dedication and reverence, became the tangible link between the inhabitants and their ancestors. Each statue carved from the volcanic rock of the island represented a revered ancestor, a protector, who watched over the well-being of their people. The construction of these colossi required not only skill and strength, but also a deep understanding of the earth and its secrets. The artisans, guided by the tribe's wise men, carefully selected the quarries and used rudimentary tools to shape the figures. Once completed, they were transported to their final resting places. The transport of the moai is one of the great mysteries surrounding the island. It is said that the statues walked, moved by an ancestral power known to the islanders as mana. This power, a spiritual force that permeated everything that existed, was channeled by spiritual leaders to animate the moais and carry them to their ceremonial platforms known as aju. The vision of these gigantic figures gliding across the land, propelled by the singing and dancing of the inhabitants, is an image that defies logic and fuels the fascination with the inexplicable. However, the exact process remains a secret kept by time, an enigma that modern archaeologists are still trying to unravel. Over the centuries, the society of Easter Island faced challenges that tested its resilience. The endowment of natural resources combined with internal conflicts and the arrival of new visitors disrupted the balance that had sustained the community for generations. The moai, once symbols of unity and power, began to fall, toppled by disputes and changing beliefs. The island that had been a sanctuary of spirituality and tradition became a field of ruins where the statues lay as silent witnesses to a glorious past and an uncertain present. Despite the decline, the legacy of the moai endured in the collective memory of the islanders. The stories of their ancestors, passed down from generation to generation, kept alive the connection to the past, the rituals, and the ceremonies. Although transformed by time, they continue to celebrate the relationship between the living and the dead, between earth and sky. The island, with its landscape dotted with fallen statues and crumbling structures, became a reminder of the fragility of civilization and the importance of honoring the lessons of the past. Today, Easter Island remains a place of mystery and wonder, where the restored moai stand once again, their faces unperturbed, gazing toward the horizon. Visitors who arrive on its shores feel the presence of something ancient and powerful, an energy that emanates from the earth and the stones. The history of the moai, with its secrets still to be discovered, continues to inspire those who seek to understand the delicate balance between man and nature, between the past and the present. In this corner of the world, the mystery of the moai lives on, inviting everyone to explore its depths and marvel at the greatness of a civilization that, although lost, will never be forgotten. In an era where science and magic were intertwined in a delicate balance, a group of wise men and alchemists gathered in the ancient city of Philadelphia, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. These scholars from various parts of the known world had been summoned for a singular purpose: to unravel the secrets of time and space. In the heart of the city, in a temple forgotten by time, stood an arcane device, a range of golden gears and sparkling crystals that promised to open portals to unknown dimensions. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and fear, for the risks of such an undertaking were as vast as the rewards it promised. As the scholars worked tirelessly, the air filled with murmurs of incantations and the crackling of invisible energies. The crystals of the device glowed with an ethereal light, reflecting colors that did not belong to this world. The alchemists, their robes adorned with arcane symbols, adjusted the gears with millimetric precision, aware that a single mistake could unleash unimaginable chaos in the center of the room, aware that one mistake could unleash unimaginable chaos. In the center of the room, a vortex began to form, spinning slowly at first but gaining speed and strength with each passing moment. The tension was palpable, and the hearts of those present beat in unison with the pulse of a nascent portal. Suddenly, a reaping flash illuminated the room, and the vortex stabilized, revealing a landscape beyond human comprehension. Through the portal, lands of supernatural beauty could be glimpsed, where mountains floated in the air and rivers of liquid light meandered through crystal valleys. However, not everything was serene in that world. Impossible creatures moved among the shadows, their eyes shining with an ancient and unknown intelligence. The wise men, equally fascinated and terrified, were torn between the curiosity to explore this new realm and the fear of the consequences of their daring. While the portal remained open, time in the room seemed to distort, lengthening and contracting in an endless cycle. Clocks stopped and shadows danced to the beat of an inaudible melody. Some of those present began to experience visions of possible futures, fragments of destinies that intertwined and diverged in a tapestry of infinite possibilities. The line between reality and illusion blurred, and the sanity of the wise hung by a thread. However, the thirst for knowledge was stronger than fear, and they decided to send an emissary through the portal, a brave volunteer willing to unravel the secrets of that world. Beyond time, the emissary, armed with protective amulets and scrolls of ancient wisdom, crossed the threshold of the portal, feeling his body dematerialize. He discovered ruins of forgotten civilizations, colossal monuments that told stories of gods and heroes from time immemorial. However, he was not alone on his journey. The creatures he had glimpsed from the other side of the portal watched him with interest. Their intentions were as inscrutable as the flow of time itself. With each step he took, the emissary felt himself. He was delving deeper into the heart of a mystery that defied all logic. The visions intensified, revealing fragments of forbidden knowledge that promised to change the course of history. However, he also sensed a dark presence, a shadow lurking at the limits of his perception, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Aware that his time was limited, the emissary gathered all the knowledge he could, engraving the secrets of that world and the warnings of its inhabitants. Finally, with the weight of his mission accomplished, he returned to the portal, leaving behind a realm of wonders and dangers and bringing with him the promise of an uncertain future. In the heart of a dense, ancient jungle lay the entrance to the crypt of the Knights Templar. Sunlight barely penetrated the thick canopy, creating a dim atmosphere that enveloped the place in an aura of mystery. The entrance, hidden behind a wall of ivy and moss, was a stone arch worn down by centuries with Latin inscriptions that were barely distinguishable. Upon crossing the threshold, a cold, damp air took hold of the atmosphere, as if time itself had stopped upon entering that underground sanctuary. The interior of the crypt was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, each more enigmatic than the last. The walls were adorned with frescoes narrating the exploits of the Templars, their battles, and their sacred oaths. In the center of the first chamber, a white marble altar stood majestically, covered in dust and cobwebs, but still retaining its imposing presence. On the altar, a golden chalice glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the torches flickering on the walls. According to legend, this chalice contained the secret of immortality, a gift that the Knights Templar had sworn to protect at all costs. As one ventured deeper into the crypt, the air became denser and charged with a sepulchral silence. Shadows danced on the walls, creating figures that seemed to take on a life of their own. In one of the deepest chambers, there is a stone sarcophagus covered with inscriptions in a forgotten language. The lid of the sarcophagus was slightly displaced, as if someone or something had tried to open it from inside. Around the sarcophagus, statues of knights in full armor stood guard, their faces carved with expressions of eternal vigilance. In one of the adjacent chambers, a mural depicted a battle scene between the Templars and a horde of dark creatures, nightmarish beings that seemed to emerge from the shadows themselves. The Templars, with their swords raised and shields gleaming, fought bravely, but the battle seemed endless, an eternal cycle of light against darkness. This mural, worn by time, was a reminder of the eternal struggle that the Templars had sworn to wage, not only in the physical world, but also in the spiritual realm. Beyond the main chambers, a narrow passageway led to a hidden room where an ancient map was engraved on the stone floor. This map, filled with symbols and enigmatic routes, was the key to unlocking the secrets of the crypt. The routes intertwined like an intricate labyrinth, guiding those brave enough to follow them toward an unknown destination. In the center of the map, a symbol of a chalice surrounded by flames seemed to pulsate with an energy of its own, as if waiting to be discovered by the chosen one. In the innermost chamber of the crypt, a well of crystal-clear water reflected the stars of the night sky despite being buried under tons of earth and stone. According to legend, this well was a portal to another world, a place where the Templars could communicate with their ancestors and receive divine wisdom. The cold, pure water emitted a soft blue glow, illuminating the chamber with an ethereal light. Those who dared to look into its depths claimed to see visions of times past and future, a reminder that the crypt was not only a place of eternal rest, but also a bridge between worlds. In the heart of an ancient forest lay the legendary Amber Chamber. This place, shrouded in an aura of mystery, had been sought after by generations of adventurers and scholars. According to legend, the chamber was built entirely of glowing amber, a material that captured the sunlight and transformed it into a golden glow that illuminated the surrounding darkness. It was said that whoever managed to find it would obtain unimaginable power, but also that the chamber was guarded by a powerful dragon. Find it would gain unimaginable power, but also that the chamber was protected by ancient guardians, beings from another time who watched over its secret. As one ventured deeper into the forest, the air became denser and charged with a palpable energy. The paths became blurred and the bird song turned into a distant echo, almost as if the forest itself were trying to disorient the intruders. In the center of this natural labyrinth stood a moss-covered ruin, and at its peak, an entrance hidden by vines and twisted roots covered in moss, and at its top was an entrance hidden by vines and twisted roots. Those who managed to reach it felt a mixture of fear and reverence, aware that they were about to cross the threshold into the unknown. Inside the chamber, the air was different, charged with a sweet, ancient fragrance. The amber walls glowed with a warm light, casting dancing shadows that seemed to tell stories of times gone by. In the center of the room, a pedestal held a sphere of pure amber. Its smooth surface reflected the flickering lights. This orb was the heart of the chamber, and said it contained the knowledge of lost civilizations, a compendium of wisdom that could change the course of history. However, approaching it was no easy task, for the chamber was alive, and its guardians, invisible to the naked eye, watched every movement. The guardians, ethereal beings formed of light and shadow, manifested themselves only when they sensed a threat. They were the protectors of the orb, and their presence was as ancient as the forest itself. They moved gracefully, their changing forms reflecting the essence of the amber that surrounded them. Those who tried to take the orb without due respect were confronted by these guardians, who with a simple gesture could vanish the intruders in a breath of wind. However, those who arrived with a pure heart and a noble purpose were guided by the guardians, who showed them the way to the knowledge they sought. The true challenge of the Amber Chamber was not to find it, but to understand its purpose. Few who managed to leave it told stories of visions and revelations of how the orb had shown them the past and the future, connecting the threads of time into a tapestry of understanding. These chosen ones returned to the outside world transformed, carrying with them a fragment of the chamber's wisdom, a knowledge that must be used with care and responsibility. The chamber, in its essence, was not a place of power, but a sanctuary of knowledge, a reminder that true power lies in understanding and respect. For what it had been and what it would be, the Amber Chamber remained hidden, an enigma in the heart of the forest, waiting for those brave and wise enough to unravel its secrets. Its existence was a testament to the connection between man and nature, a reminder that even as time passes and civilizations fall, there will always be places where knowledge and magic endure, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to look beyond the obvious in the heart of a vast desert. A group of travelers advanced with determination. They were the guardians of a sacred object, the Ark of the Covenant, a wooden chest covered in gold that contained the stone tablets with the divine commandments. As the group advanced, the air vibrated with a palpable energy, as if the sky itself were on their journey. The guardians, dressed in white linen robes, walked in formation, protecting the ark with their bodies and souls. Around them, the desert seemed to come to life with dunes that rose and fell like waves in a sea of sand, while the wind whispered ancient secrets in their ears. As the sun descended on the horizon, the group arrived at a hidden oasis, a place of unexpected greenery in the midst of the desolation. There, under the shade of gently swaying palm trees, the guardians paused on their journey. The ark was placed reverently on a makeshift altar, and the air was filled with a reverent silence. At that moment, the sky was tinged with impossible colors, and a golden light emanated from the ark, illuminating the faces of those present with a divine glow. It was as if time had stopped and the whole world held its breath in the presence of something so sacred and powerful. With the arrival of night, the oasis was transformed into a sanctuary of stars, and the group gathered around the ark to protect it while they slept. However, sleep did not come easily, for each of them felt the weight of the responsibility they carried in the darkness. Their thoughts were filled with visions of ancient times, of prophets and kings who had been touched by the ark. The power of the ark was a power that could grant victory in battle, but also bring destruction to those who did not respect it. And so, while the stars watched from above, the guardians took turns keeping watch, aware that their mission was greater than themselves. At dawn, the group resumed their march, guided by an invisible force that propelled them forward. As they advanced, the landscape began to change, and the desert gave way to grass-covered hills and fertile valleys. It was as if the world was transforming in their wake, responding to the power of the ark. On their way, they came across villages that welcomed them with amazement and reverence, for the legend of the ark had reached every corner of the earth. The inhabitants offered gifts and prayers, hoping to receive the blessing of that sacred object that had been touched by the hand of the divine. Finally, the group arrived at their destination, a majestic temple built on top of a mountain, where the ark would be guarded by priests dedicated to its service. The temple, with its marble columns and walls adorned with ancient inscriptions, seemed like a place outside of time, a bridge between the world of men and the realm of the gods. With great ceremony, the ark was carried inside the sanctuary where it would be placed in the most sacred place, the Holy of Holies. There, in the dim light illuminated by oil lamps, the ark would rest, an eternal symbol of the covenant between the divine and the human. While oil lamps, the ark would rest, an eternal symbol of the covenant between the divine and the human. As the guardians withdrew, leaving the ark in the hands of the priests, a sense of peace and fulfillment filled their hearts. They knew they had fulfilled their mission and that the ark was now in its rightful place. However, they were also aware that their story did not end there, for the Ark of the Covenant would continue to be a beacon of hope and a reminder of the power of the sacred. Thus, with the sun setting behind the mountains, the guardians left, leaving behind a legacy that would endure through the centuries, a testimony to the eternal connection between heaven and earth. In a time long ago, there was a small town called Roswell. This place, surrounded by rugged deserts and mountains that seemed to guard ancient secrets, was home to a community that lived in harmony with nature and its mysteries. In the heart of this town stood an ancient stone known to all as the Roswell Stone. This rock, of imposing size and covered with inscriptions in a forgotten language, it had been an object of reverence and fear. 4 generations. The elders of the village told stories about its origin, suggesting that it had fallen from the sky on a stormy night accompanied by a glow that lit up the darkness as if it were daytime. The stone, with its smooth surface and cold to the touch, emanated an energy that could be felt in the air, a subtle hum that resonated in the hearts of those who approached it. The inhabitants of Roswell believed that the stone was a gift from the gods, a link between their world and the infinite cosmos. However, there was also a fear that its power could unleash forces beyond human understanding. Over the years, many had tried to decipher the engravings that covered the stone, but all had failed. The intricate and beautifully carved symbols seemed to change and move under the moonlight, as if telling a story that could only be understood by those worthy of its secret. One day, a young man named Elian, known for his insatiable curiosity and desire for knowledge, decided to undertake the task and his desire for knowledge, decided to take on the task of unravel the mysteries of the Roswell stone. Armed with ancient scrolls and the advice of the village elders, Elian spent hours observing the stone, trying to find a pattern in the symbols that might offer him a clue. As time passed, he began to notice that the engravings responded to his presence, glowing with a faint light when he approached. Intrigued, Elian realized that the stone was not just an inanimate object, but seemed to have a consciousness of its own, an intelligence that watched him animate object, but seemed to have a consciousness of its own, an intelligence that observed him. With equal curiosity, one night, as the full moon bathed the desert in its silvery light, Elian experienced a vision in his mind. He saw a vast landscape of stars and galaxies, a universe in constant motion and transformation. At the center of this cosmos, the Roswell stone floated, surrounded by ethereal figures dancing around it. These entities, made of light and shadow, whispered words in a language that Elian could not understand, but which resonated in his soul with undeniable clarity. Upon awakening from his trance, Elian understood that the stone was a portal, a bridge between his world and other realms beyond human comprehension. With this revelation, Elian became the guardian of the stone, dedicating his life to protecting it and learning its secrets. He shared his knowledge with those who sought wisdom, guiding them on their own journey of discovery. Under his tutelage, the people of Roswell flourished, becoming a center of learning and spirituality. The stone, with its power and mystery, continued to be a symbol of hope and connection to the divine, a reminder that the universe is vast and full of wonders waiting to be discovered. As the years passed, the story of the Roswell stone became legend, a tale told to children around the fireside, a story of mystery and wonder that inspired future generations to look to the stars with curiosity and reverence. Although Elian was no longer with them, his legacy lived on, and the stone remained a beacon of light in the darkness, a reminder that although the universe is vast and incomprehensible, there is always a place for those who seek to understand its beauty and complexity. In a time when gods walked among mortals and the fate of men was written in the stars, a dark enigma began to unfold in the lands of ancient Hellas. At the heart of this civilization, where the white marble of the temples glistened under the sun and the waves of the Aegean whispered secrets, on the shore, a figure emerged, shrouded in shadows and mystery. This being known as the Zodiac moved with the subtlety of a specter, leaving behind a trail of death and confusion. No one knew his true face, but his presence was felt in every corner of the polis like a sinister echo that resonated in the minds of its inhabitants. The Zodiac was no ordinary murderer. His crimes were intrinsically linked to the constellations that adorned the night sky. Each victim was selected for a dark purpose, and their deaths coincided with the rise of a new constellation in the sky. The wise men and astronomers of the time, observing this pattern, began to fear that the Zodiac was trying to manipulate destiny itself, using the stars as his tool. At each crime scene, he left a cryptic symbol carved in stone, an enigma that challenged the most learned to decipher its meaning. As fear spread like a shadow over the city, a young priest from the Temple of Apollo, named Callistratus, decided to confront this enigma, gifted with a sharp mind and a brave heart. Callistrato immersed himself in ancient texts and prophecies, searching for any clue that might shed light on the motives of the Zodiac. His nights were filled with insomnia and visions, while the stars seemed to whisper forgotten secrets to him. In his dreams, he saw figures dancing in the sky, forming patterns that only he could understand, as if the cosmos itself were trying to guide him to the truth. As Callistrato delved deeper into his search, he began to discover a disturbing connection between the victims and the ancient myths of the gods. Each death seemed to recreate an episode from the legends, as if the zodiac were trying to revive the times when the gods ruled the earth. This revelation led him to explore the darkest corners of mythology, where he found tales of an ancient being, a forgotten titan who had been banished by the Olympians and now sought revenge through his mortal avatar, the Zodiac. He was not just a killer, but a pawn in a cosmic game of power and retribution. With each new discovery, Callistratus drew closer to the heart of the mystery, but he also exposed himself to growing danger. The forces that guided the Zodiac were not of this world, and their influence extended beyond what any mortal could comprehend. However, the young priest was not intimidated. Armed with the knowledge of the ancients and the protection of the gods, he prepared to face the Zodiac in a final showdown that would decide the fate of humanity. In his mind, the stars were no longer just lights in the sky, but allies in his fight against darkness. On a night when the full moon illuminated the world with its pale light, Callistrat found himself face to face with the Zodiac in the ancient amphitheater, a place where the echoes of the past still resounded strongly. There, under the watchful gaze of the constellations, a battle was fought, not of strength, but of will and knowledge. The air was filled with energy, and the stars seemed to pause in their eternal dance, watching the outcome of a conflict that had begun long before men walked the earth. At that decisive moment, Callistrato understood that true power did not lie in the stars, but in the hearts of those who dare to challenge destiny. In the heart of Bosnia stand structures that defy modern understanding, the Bosnian pyramids. These colossal formations covered by a cloak of vegetation emerge from the landscape like sleeping giants. Their geometric shapes are barely visible beneath the thick foliage. As the sun rises on the horizon, its golden rays illuminate the slopes, revealing patterns that suggest an ancient architectural hand, a lost civilization that left its mark on the earth. Archaeologists and adventurers who dare to explore these lands feel an inexplicable energy, a buzzing in the air that seems to resonate with the heartbeat of the earth itself. As one into the valley, the air becomes thick with the scent of damp earth and the whisper of the wind through the trees. Paths wind through the hills, guiding explorers to the base of the largest pyramid, known as the Pyramid of the Sun. Its sides, though eroded by time, still retain a precise inclination, as if designed to align with the celestial bodies. At the top, a flat platform offers a panoramic view of the valley, a place that could have served as an astronomical observatory for its builders. From here, the landscape unfolds in a mosaic of greens and browns, interrupted only by the shadows of the other pyramids rising in the distance. Beneath the surface, a labyrinth of tunnels winds through the earth, its walls carved with symbols and patterns that defy modern interpretation. These underground passageways, some of which extend for miles, seem to have been designed with a specific purpose in mind, perhaps to channel energy or serve as secret routes between the pyramids. As explorers venture further into these dark corridors, the echo of their footsteps reverberates in the gloom, creating a symphony of sounds that seems to tell stories of a forgotten past. In some chambers, perfectly polished stones are arranged in circles, as if they were altars for ancient ceremonies. The mystery of the pyramids deepens with the presence of unusual artifacts found in their surroundings. Fragments of pottery, stone tools, and jewelry adorned with intricate designs suggest an advanced culture capable of great artistic and technological achievements. However, the lack of written records leaves a void in our understanding of who these people were and what motivations led them to build such monuments. Scholars speculate about their connection to other ancient civilizations, but the answers remain elusive, buried under layers of history and myth. On nights when the sky is filled with stars, the pyramids seemed to come to life, their silhouettes outlined against the starry sky. Some say that at these hours, whispers can be heard in the wind, voices of the ancients trying to communicate with the present. Locals tell stories of mysterious lights floating above the pyramids, phenomena that defy scientific explanation and fuel legends that these structures are portals to other worlds or dimensions. The atmosphere is charged with a palpable mysticism, a reminder that even though time marches on, some secrets remain eternally hidden. The pyramids of Bosnia remain an enigma, a puzzle of history that invites exploration and contemplation. Every discovery, every theory adds a new layer of intrigue to their history, attracting those who seek to unravel the mysteries of the past. In this corner of the world where earth and sky meet, the pyramids continue to guard their secrets, challenging humanity to look beyond the known and into the unknown. At the heart of an ancient civilization lay a diamond of such a deep blue that it seemed to contain the mystery of the ocean within it. This diamond, known as the Hope Diamond, had been discovered in the bowels of a sacred mine, a place where only the bravest dared to venture. It was said that the diamond was a gift from the gods, a jewel that contained an unimaginable power, but also a curse that would bring misfortune to anyone who dared to touch it, but also a curse that would bring misfortune to anyone who dared to possess it. The priests of the temple, aware of its power, guarded it jealously, fearful that it would fall into the wrong hands. Over time, the fame of the Hope Diamond spread beyond the borders of the kingdom, attracting the attention of kings and adventurers from distant lands. One of these adventurers, a prince from a neighboring kingdom, arrived at the temple with the intention of claiming the diamond for himself. He was an ambitious man, blinded by the desire for power and wealth. However, the priest warned him that the diamond was cursed. Ambitious man, blinded by the desire for power and wealth. However, the priest warned him about the curse that weighed on the jewel. The prince arrogantly dismissed the warning, convinced that it was his destiny to possess the diamond. The prince stole the jewel on a moonless night, thus unleashing the wrath of the gods. From that moment on, the prince's life became a whirlwind of misfortune. His kingdom, which had once flourished under his leadership, began to crumble. Crops withered, rivers turned bitter, and a shadow of despair hung over his people. The prince, consumed by guilt and remorse, tried to get rid of the diamond, but the jewel always found its way back to him, as if it were bound to his destiny. Desperate, he sought the help of wise men and sorcerers, but they all agreed that the only way to break the curse was to return the diamond to its place of origin. In his quest for redemption, the prince embarked on an arduous journey back to the temple, facing countless dangers and challenges, crossing scorching deserts, climbing impossible mountains, and sailed across stormy seas, all in the hope of freeing himself from the curse that tormented him. During his journey, the prince began to understand the true meaning of power and responsibility, learning lessons of humility and sacrifice that transformed his heart. As he approached the temple, the weight of the curse seemed to lessen, as if the gods were watching his repentance with benevolence. Finally, the prince arrived at the temple, exhausted but determined. The priests, who had been waiting for his return, welcomed him with a mixture of distrust and hope. With reverence, the prince returned the Hope Diamond to its sacred altar, uttering words of repentance and promises of change. At that moment, a heavenly light enveloped the temple, and the air was filled with a divine whisper that seemed to forgive the prince for his transgressions. The curse was broken, and the kingdom of the prince began to heal, regaining its former glory and prosperity. The prince, now a changed man, returned to his kingdom with a new purpose. He ruled with wisdom and compassion, always remembering the lesson he had learned through his encounter with the Hope Diamond. The jewel remained in the temple, guarded by the priests as a reminder of the power of the gods and the fragility of human ambition. And so the story of the Hope Diamond became a legend, a cautionary tale passed down from generation to generation, reminding everyone that true power lies in the heart, and not in material riches. In a time when gods walked among mortals and knowledge was a jealously guarded treasure, there existed an artifact of astonishing complexity and mystery, the Antiquera mechanism. This object, forged in the heart of ancient Greece, was a marvel of engineering and astronomy, a testament to human ingenuity that defied the understanding of its time. It was said that the mechanism had been created by a wise man who had received the favor of the gods, a man whose name had been lost in the sands of time, but whose legacy lived on in the intricate network of bronze gears and wheels. Hidden for centuries in the depths of the sea, this artifact waited patiently to be discovered. Its purpose and origin shrouded in mystery, the Antiquera mechanism was more than just an object. It was a portal to the cosmos, a tool that allowed its owners to unravel the secrets of the universe with its complex gears. Unravel the secrets of the universe with its complex configurations. The mechanism could predict the movements of celestial bodies, synchronizing earthly time with divine time. Each gear turned with almost supernatural precision, reflecting the perfect order of the cosmos. The ancient Greeks, fascinated by the night sky, saw in this artifact a direct connection to the gods, a way to understand their will and anticipate events that would shape the destiny of humanity. However, its use was not available to everyone. Only those initiated in the mysteries of astronomy and mechanics could decipher its secrets. At the heart of the mechanism, an intricate system of cogwheels and rotating discs moved in a harmonious dance. Each component was designed with a precision that defied the technology of its time. The craftsmen who built it had achieved an unparalleled feat, combining their knowledge of astronomy with their skill in metallurgy to create a device that seemed to defy the laws of nature. As the mechanism revealed the positions of the planets, the phases of the moon, and solar and lunar eclipses, allowing its users to predict celestial events with astonishing accuracy. This knowledge, reserved for a select few, granted them almost divine power, an ability to anticipate the future and understand the order of the universe. The discovery of the Antiquera mechanism was a fortuitous event, a gift from the sea that emerged from the depths of forgotten shipwreck. The divers who found it could not imagine the value of the treasure they had unearthed, an artifact that would forever change the understanding of ancient history. As scholars began to examine the mechanism, they realized they were looking at a masterpiece of ancient engineering, a device that defied preconceived notions about the technological capabilities of the ancient Greeks. Each new discovery about the mechanism revealed a level of sophistication that seemed impossible for its time, raising questions about the true extent of knowledge lost in antiquity. The aura of mystery surrounding the Antiquera mechanism only intensified with each new discovery. Scholars debated its origin and purpose, speculating about the identity of its creator and the context in which it had been used. Some suggested that it had been a gift from the gods, a tool to guide mortals in their quest for knowledge. Others believed that it was the product of an advanced civilization, a vestige of a forgotten past that had achieved a level of understanding of the universe that still eludes us today. As more secrets of the mechanism were revealed, fascination with its history grew, fueling the imagination of those who sought to unravel its mysteries. The legacy of the Antiquera mechanism endures as a reminder of human ingenuity and the eternal quest for knowledge. Although its exact origin and purpose remain an enigma, its existence challenges modern notions about the past, suggesting that the history of humanity is much richer and more complex than had been imagined. This artifact, born in an era of myths and legends, continues to inspire generations of explorers and scholars who, like the ancient Greeks, look to the sky in search of answers, guided by the echo of a mechanism that once connected mortals with the gods in the twilight of a moonless night. A group of young adventurers ventured into the heart of Oak Island, an island shrouded in mystery and legend. The sea breeze whispered ancient secrets while the shadows of the trees danced to the rhythm of the wind. Guided by a worn map and a fervent desire to discover the unknown, the explorers headed toward the center of the island, where it was said that a hidden crypt lay, guardian of unimaginable treasures. The earth beneath their feet creaked with every step, as if the island itself were alive, watching their movements with silent interest. As they advanced, the terrain became more treacherous with tangled roots and slippery rocks that seemed to defy their progress. However, the young explorers' determination did not waver. Finally, they reached a clearing where an ancient stone structure covered in moss and vines stood. The crypt, with its dark and ominous entrance, looked like a portal to another world. The adventurers paused for a moment, feeling the weight of history that surrounded them before lighting their torches and entering. The air inside the crypt was thick and cold, permeated by a smell of dampness and antiquity. The walls were adorned with inscriptions in a forgotten language, their symbols telling stories of gods and heroes from ancient times. As they advanced along the narrow corridor, the echo of their footsteps resounded like a constant heartbeat, marking the rhythm of their exploration. At the back of the crypt, they found a large chamber lit by the dim light of their torches. In the center, a stone sarcophagus stood majestically, covered in dust and cobwebs, as if time had forgotten its existence. Cautiously, the adventurers approached the sarcophagus, their hearts beating with anticipation and fear. Around the base, they discovered a series of complex mechanisms designed to protect the coffin's contents from unwanted intruders. After careful examination, they managed to disarm the traps and open the heavy stone lid. Inside, they found not only human remains but also a set of priceless artifacts, including jewels set with precious stones, weapons forged from unknown metals, and scrolls containing lost knowledge. As they examined the treasures, a feeling of unease began to grow among them. It was as if the crypt itself was alive, watching their actions with a critical eye. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ground, and the echo of a distant roar reverberated through the corridors. The adventurers looked at each other, realizing that they had awakened something that had lain dormant for centuries. With their hearts racing, they gathered what they could and rushed out of the crypt, feeling that time was running out. As they emerged to the surface, the light of dawn began to paint the sky with shades of gold and pink. The island that had been a place of mystery and danger now seemed peaceful and serene. However, the adventurers knew that they had unearthed secrets that could change the course of history. As they left Oak Island, they carried with them not only the treasures they had found, but also the knowledge that some mysteries are meant to remain hidden, guarded by the shadows of history and time. In a remote time, an imposing structure emerged that defied mortal understanding. The tower of this colossal geological formation stood alone in the middle of a vast landscape, like a finger pointing to the sky. Its origin dated back to an era when the gods played with the elements, shaping mountains and valleys with their whims. The tower, with its smooth walls and sharp edges, seemed to have been sculpted by divine hands, a work of art. The tower, with its smooth walls, seemed to have been sculpted by divine hands, a masterpiece. Masterpiece of nature that defied the laws of physics and human imagination. Legend has it that the tower was created during a fierce battle between two Titan brothers who were fighting for dominion over the earth. In their fury, one of them struck the ground with such force that the rock rose up in a gigantic column, solidifying in an instant. The energy released at that moment was so intense that the air was filled with a supernatural glow, and the echo of the impact resonated throughout the land's supernatural silence, and the echo of the impact resounded throughout the centuries. The locals who witnessed this phenomenon were stunned by the appearance of the tower, and soon began to weave stories about its origin, attributing it to the passage of time. As the centuries passed, the tower became a place of reverence and fear. The ancient inhabitants of the region considered it a portal to the world of the gods, a place where the veil between the earthly and the divine was thinner. It was said that on nights, the tower emitted a ghostly glow, and those brave enough To approach, it could hear whispers in the wind, the voices of the spirits that inhabited it. Shamans and priests performed rituals at its base, seeking the favor of the gods and protection against the dark forces they believed inhabited its summit. Over time, the tower attracted explorers and adventurers from distant lands, each hoping to unravel its secrets. Some sought hidden treasures, while others yearned for the arcane knowledge that was said to be stored within. Others yearned for the arcane knowledge that was said to be kept within its walls, its bowels. However, few returned from their expeditions, and those who did spoke of strange visions and trials that defied sanity. The tower, with its imposing presence, seemed to have a will of its own, choosing who could unveil its mysteries and who would be consumed by them. The geology of the tower, although fascinating, was only part of its enigma. Scholars who ventured to analyze its composition discovered that it was formed of an unknown rock harder than granite and resistant to the passage of time. Theories about its formation range from the solidification of volcanic lava to the intervention of cosmic forces. However, no explanation could capture the essence of the tower, which remained a challenge to science and a symbol of the inexplicable. The tower remained an eternal monument to the struggle between the known and the unknown, the natural and the supernatural. Its silhouette against the horizon continued to inspire awe and fear, a reminder that in the vast tapestry of history, there are still places where magic and reality intertwine and where the secrets of the past wait patiently to be discovered by those bold enough to seek them out. In the heart of the vast and enigmatic Amazon jungle stood the legendary lost city of Soothe. This place, shrouded in an aura of mystery and greed, had been the subject of countless expeditions and feverish dreams of adventurers who longed to uncover its secrets. According to the legends, it was a marvel of ancient architecture built with golden stones that glistened in the sunlight, hiding unimaginable treasures and lost knowledge of an advanced civilization within. The giant trees with their winding branches seemed to jealously guard this enclave, while the song of exotic birds and the murmur of hidden rivers composed a natural symphony that resonated in the air. As one ventured deeper into the jungle, the atmosphere became more oppressive, as if nature itself was conspiring to protect the city's secret. The humidity was suffocating, and the ground covered with leaves and fallen branches concealed natural traps that could swallow the unwary. However, those who persevered were rewarded with glimpses of ancient stone paths covered with moss and vines that led to the heart of the legend. These paths, worn down by time, spoke of a glorious past of a civilization that had managed to tame the jungle and erect its home in the midst of untamed nature. At the center of this green labyrinth was the main square of the lost city of Soothe, a spacious and majestic space surrounded by structures that defied the imagination. Temples and palaces adorned with intricate carvings that told stories of gods and heroes stood proudly, their golden domes reflecting the light in a dazzling spectacle. In the center of the square, a fountain of crystal-clear water flowed from a stone statue sculpted in the figure of an ancient king whose serene face seemed to observe visitors with ancestral wisdom. The pure, refreshing water was considered sacred and was said to possess healing properties, a gift from the gods to the inhabitants of the city. According to legend, the inhabitants of the lost city of Soothe were a wise and peaceful people who had achieved a high degree of knowledge in astronomy, medicine, and the arts. Their libraries, filled with books and tablets, containing secrets that could change the course of history, but they remained hidden from the eyes of the outside world. It was said that these ancient sages had managed to decipher the mysteries of the universe, and that their understanding of the cosmos had allowed them to prosper in harmony with nature. However, their final destiny remained an enigma, for one day, without warning, the city was abandoned, leaving behind only ruins and legends. The passage of time had covered the lost city of Soothe with a veil of oblivion, and the jungle, in its eternal cycle of life and death, had claimed what was once theirs. Tree roots had infiltrated the structures, crumbling walls and ceilings, while the local fauna had found refuge in the darkest corners of the city. However, despite the apparent desolation, the essence of the city remained intact, like a whisper in the wind, waiting to be rediscovered by those brave and worthy enough to unravel its secrets. The legend of the lost city of Soothe continued, fueling the imagination of explorers and dreamers who, attracted by the promise of riches and wisdom, ventured into the jungle in the hope of finding the mythical El Dorado of Brazil. Each expedition, each attempt to unravel the mystery, added a new chapter to the history of this legendary city, perpetuating its myth and ensuring that, although lost, the city of Soothe would never be forgotten. In a distant time, there was a vast valley known as El Doria, where fields stretched as far as the eye could see. The eye could see, and the crops were the livelihood of its inhabitants. In the center of this valley, every year mysterious circles appeared in the wheat fields, intricate patterns that seemed to have been drawn by invisible hands. The villagers watched these formations with a mixture of fear and reverence, for they believed they were messages from the gods, signs of good fortune or warnings of difficult times to come. The elders of the village, guardians of ancestral wisdom, gathered in council to interpret these signs, searching for the destiny of their people. As the seasons changed, the crop circles became more complex and enigmatic. One year, a design appeared representing a tree with deep roots and branches reaching toward the sky. The village elders interpreted this as a symbol of the connection between the earthly and heavenly worlds, a reminder that humans must live in harmony with nature and the gods. However, not everyone shared this vision. Some impatient young people, eager to discover the truth behind these phenomena, began to explore beyond the limits of the valley in search of answers that the elders could not provide. In their quest, the young adventurers ventured into the dark forests surrounding Doria, where mythical creatures and ancient spirits were said to dwell. There they found a clearing illuminated by an ethereal light, where a circle of ancient stones stood majestically in the center of this circle. An altar covered in runes glowed with a mysterious energy. As they approached, they felt a powerful presence, as if the gods themselves were watching them. It was then that they understood that the crop circles were more than just messages. They were portals to forgotten knowledge, a bridge between their world and the realm of the divine. Over time, the young people returned to the valley, bringing with them stories of their discoveries and a new understanding of the circles. They shared their experiences with the villagers, who listened with amazement and renewed faith. The crop circles were no longer seen as mere omens, but as an invitation to explore the unknown and seek wisdom beyond the visible. The elders, though skeptical at first, began to accept that the world was changing and that they must adapt to these new times where knowledge and curiosity were as valuable as tradition. As the years passed, the Doria became a place of learning and discovery. The crop circles continued to appear, each more intricate than the last, challenging the villagers to decipher their hidden meanings. The young people, now leaders, guided their people into an era of prosperity and understanding where the connection with the gods and nature was stronger than ever. The circles became a symbol of unity and hope, reminding everyone that even though the world was full of mysteries, there was always a path to the light. The Valley of El Doria prospered, and the crop circles became an integral part of their culture and spirituality. The villagers learned to live in harmony with the messages of the gods, using their wisdom to guide their lives and ensure the well-being of future generations. And although the circles remained an enigma, their constant presence reminded everyone that the world was full of wonders and that sometimes the most profound answers were found in the most unexpected places. At the heart of the vast and enigmatic Cascade Range stands the majestic Mount Shasta, a colossus of snow and rock that has been the subject of countless legends and myths throughout the centuries. Its slopes, covered with dense pine and fir forests, are said to be inhabited by beings from time immemorial, guardians of secrets that defy human understanding. The atmosphere surrounding the mountain is dense and charged with mystery, as if the air itself were imbued with untold stories. As you venture deeper into its paths, the whisper of the wind through the trees seems to echo tales of lost civilizations and ancient powers that still linger beneath the surface. Deep within these lands lies a hidden entrance, a portal leading to an underground world where sunlight has never touched. According to legends, this underground realm is the home of the Lemurians, an advanced race of beings who survived the destruction of their continent millennia ago. It is said that these inhabitants possess esoteric knowledge, arcane knowledge and technologies that far exceed human capabilities. The walls of their caves are adorned with sparkling crystals that emit a soft, ethereal light, illuminating vast stone libraries where the records of their ancient wisdom are kept. The air in this underground world is fresh and vibrant, filled with an energy that seems to resonate with the very pulse of the earth. As one ventures deeper into this realm, one encounters vast halls where the Lemurians gather to meditate and share their knowledge. In the center of one of these halls stands a crystal monolith that acts as an energy conduit connecting the underground world with the stars. This monolith is the heart of their civilization, a symbol of their connection to the cosmos and their commitment to protecting the balance of the world. The Lemurians, with their white robes and bright eyes, move with a grace and serenity that reflects their deep understanding of the universe. Their presence is both reassuring and awe-inspiring, as if one were in the presence of beings who have transcended the limitations of time and space. In the depths of this world, there are also stone guardians, colossal figures who watch over the paths and protect the secrets of the Lemurians. These guardians, carved with precision and detail, seem to come to life. When someone gets too close to the most sacred places, their stone eyes glow with an inner light, and their mere presence is enough to deter intruders. However, those who are deemed worthy may pass without fear, guided by an invisible force that leads them to the most hidden corners of this realm. Here, in the twilight of the caverns, lie artifacts of unimaginable power, relics of an era when the Lemurians walked among the gods. Time in this underground world seems to flow differently, as if the laws of physics were mere suggestions. Days and nights intertwine in an endless cycle of light and shadow. Those who spend too much time in this place can lose track of time completely. However, for the Lemurians, time is only a tool, a means to explore the infinite possibilities of the universe. Their lives are dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, and each discovery is one step closer to enlightenment. In this world, the past, present, and future are intertwined in a tapestry of infinite possibilities, and each thread of this tapestry is a story waiting to be told when they leave this underground realm. One cannot help but feel a deep connection to Mount Shasta and its secrets. The mountain, with its imposing presence, seems to watch over those who venture into its domain like a silent guardian of the world's mysteries. As the sun sets on the horizon, bathing the mountain in a golden glow, one cannot help but wonder how many more secrets this place holds, waiting patiently to be discovered by those who dare to search in the silence of the night. Mount Shasta. It remains an eternal witness to the stories of the Lemurians and the secrets that still lie hidden in its depths. In the vast plains of the Bolivian highlands stands the enigmatic site of Puma Punku. This place, shrouded in an aura of mystery, is a silent testimony to a lost civilization that left behind a legacy of stone that defies modern understanding. The structures of Puma Punku, with their perfectly cut and assembled stone blocks, seem to have been sculpted by hands that possessed knowledge and skill beyond the comprehension of contemporary archaeologists. The blocks, some of which weigh several tons, are arranged with a precision that defies the capabilities of the primitive tools believed to have been available at the time of their construction. As one enters the heart of Puma Punku, the sense of wonder intensifies. The stones, carved with perfect angles and smooth surfaces, are aligned in such a way that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. This level of precision has led many to speculate about the possibility that the builders possessed advanced knowledge of geometry and mathematics, knowledge that, according to conventional history, should not have existed in that region at that time. The intricate geometric shapes and patterns that adorn the stones suggest a purpose beyond the merely functional, perhaps an attempt to capture the essence of an orderly and harmonious cosmos. Orderly and harmonious cosmos. The mystery deepens when considering the astronomical orientation of Puma Punku. It is said that the structures are precisely aligned with certain celestial events, suggesting that the builders had a deep understanding of the movements of the celestial bodies. This connection to the sky has led some to theorize that Puma Punku may have served as an astronomical observatory, a place where ancient priests and wise men observed the sky in search of signs and omens. The relationship between the stones and the stars seems to tell a story of a civilization that saw the sky not only as a roof over their heads, but as an open book full of divine secrets. The natural environment surrounding Puma Punku also plays a crucial role in its mystery. Located at an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level, the site is exposed to extreme weather conditions with temperatures that can vary drastically between day and night. However, the stones have withstood the passage of time and the elements as if protected by an invisible power. This resistance has led some to speculate about the possibility that the builders used advanced conservation techniques or even materials that we have not yet discovered to ensure the durability of their work. As the sun sets over the high plateau, the elongated shadows of the stones of Puma Punku seem to come to life, their changing shapes suggesting untold stories told of a distant past. Archaeologists and adventurers who have explored the site often speak of a feeling of presence, as if the spirits of the ancient builders still watch over their creation. This atmosphere of mystery has given rise to numerous legends and theories, some of which suggest that Puma Punku was built with the help of otherworldly beings, visitors from the stars who shared their knowledge with the inhabitants of Earth. However, despite the many theories and speculation, the true purpose and origin of Puma Punku remains an enigma. Every stone, every line carved into its surface seems to whisper secrets that refuse to be revealed. The echoes of a forgotten time resonate in the air, inviting those who dare to listen to unravel the mystery of this sacred place. In the silence of Puma Punku, one can almost hear the heartbeat of a lost civilization, a reminder that despite everything what we have learned, there is still much we do not know about our past and the world we inhabit. At the heart of a lost civilization lies a labyrinth of underground tunnels that have defied the passage of time. These passageways, carved with precision into the living rock, wind through the darkness, hiding secrets that only the bravest dare to unravel. The walls of the tunnels are covered with intricate engravings that tell stories of gods and heroes of epic battles and forbidden loves. As one advances through these corridors, the atmosphere becomes denser, charged with a palpable mystery that seems to whisper in the ears of intruders, promising revelations to those who persevere. Along the tunnels are hidden chambers that once served as sanctuaries for arcane rituals. In the center of one of these chambers stands a colossal statue of a forgotten god. His stone eyes seem to follow visitors with a piercing gaze. At his feet lies a dust-covered altar with offerings from time immemorial, dazzling jewels, weapons forged with, and scrolls written in languages long extinct. The air is filled with the scent of ancient incense, and the echo of distant chants reverberates off the walls as if the spirits of the ancient priests still watch over their sacred domain. Beyond the chambers of worship, the tunnels branch off in multiple directions, each promising a different destination. Some lead to vast underground caverns where rivers of crystal-clear water flow silently, illuminated by the dim light of phosphorescent crystals encrusted in the ceiling. In these caverns, strange creatures adapted to eternal darkness glide between the shadows, their movements barely perceptible. Other tunnels descend even deeper into unfathomable abysses where the heat of the Earth's core is palpable and the walls ooze a thick, shiny liquid that emits a supernatural glow. In a particularly ancient section of the labyrinth is an underground library. Its shelves, carved into the rock, are filled with clay tablets and papyrus scrolls. Here, the wise men of old recorded their knowledge of the cosmos, nature, and the human soul. Although deteriorated by time, the texts still contain fragments of wisdom that could change the course of history if they were understood. However, the library is protected by ingenious traps designed to keep unwanted intruders away. Only those with sharp minds and pure of heart can successfully navigate its dangers. Center of the labyrinth, there is said to be a secret chamber that houses an artifact of incalculable power. This object, forged by divine hands, is the key to unleashing forces that could reshape the world. However, its exact location is an enigma protected by riddles and supernatural guardians. The few who have attempted to find it have returned with tales of terrifying visions and trials that defy sanity. The chamber, if it truly exists, is the beating heart of the labyrinth, a place where time and space intertwine in a tapestry of infinite possibilities. In the farthest reaches of the tunnel system lies a hidden exit that leads to a valley forgotten by the outside world. This place, blessed with wild and untamed beauty, is a refuge for those seeking to escape the chains of civilization. Here, nature reigns supreme, and the echoes of an ancient civilization resonate in the wind blowing through the mountains. The underground tunnels, with their secrets and wonders, are a testament to the greatness and mystery of a bygone era, a reminder that beneath the surface of the known, there is always more to discover. In a distant time, a monumental work was being created that would defy human understanding and become the subject of legends and whispers throughout the centuries. The Codex Gigas, known as the Bible of the Dead, emerged from the shadows of history, shrouded in an aura of mystery and fear. It was said that its creation was the result of a dark pact, an agreement that would change the course of history forever in fear. It was said that its creation was the result of a dark pact, an agreement sealed between a desperate monk and the Prince of Darkness himself. Legend has it that this monk, facing the sentence of being walled up alive for breaking his vows, promised to complete in a single night a manuscript containing all human and divine knowledge. As night fell in the darkness of his cell, the monk invoked the devil to help him in his impossible task. As the monk filled the pages of parchment with sacred texts, scientific treatises, and historical chronicles. The atmosphere in the cell was thick, charged with an eerie silence broken only by the scratching of the pen on the parchment. The candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls, while the monk, his eyes filled with feverish determination, continued his work. In the center of the manuscript was a colossal illustration of the Virgin Mary, her gaze penetrating and her smile enigmatic, as if observing every movement of the monk, as if supervising the work that bore her name. Seemed to observe the monk's every movement, as if supervising the work that bore his name. At dawn, the monk presented his masterpiece to the astonished brothers of the monastery. The Codex, a book of titanic proportions, stood as a testament to the impossible. Its pages, made of parchment as thin as skin, contain not only the complete Bible, but also texts on medicine, history, and exorcisms, among others. However, what most captured the attention and fear of those who contemplated was the image of the one who seemed to come to life with every glance. The legend of the Dark Pact spread quickly, and the Codex Gigas was considered both a marvel and a curse. Over the years, the Codex Gigas traveled through different kingdoms, passing from the hands of monarchs to prestigious libraries, each adding its own layer of mystery to its history. It was said that the book brought misfortune to those who possessed it, and that its mere presence was enough to unleash calamities. On one occasion, a fire devastated the monastery that housed it, but the Codex Gigas emerged unscathed from the flames, as if protected by forces beyond human understanding. This event only served to fuel the legends about its infernal origin and supernatural power. Over the centuries, scholars and erudites tried to unravel the secrets of the Codex Gigas, fascinated by its content and enigmatic creation. Some claimed that the book contained magic formulas and forbidden knowledge, while others saw it as a simple however. The figure of the Codex creator remained an enigma. A reminder of the legend surrounding the manuscript. Every attempt to decipher its secrets seemed to lead to more questions than answers, as if the book itself resisted being fully understood. The Codex Gigas rests in the National Library of Sweden, where it continues to be an object of fascination and study. Its history, woven with threads of myth and reality, continues to captivate the imagination of those who dare to contemplate it. The image of the monk, with his eternal gaze, seems to watch over the curious, reminding them of the price of knowledge and the power of legends that transcend time. In the frozen heights of the Alps of Udal lies the story of Otzi, the Iceman. More than 5,000 years ago, in a time when nature dictated the fate of men, a lone hunter set out on a journey that would lead him to become a legend. Otzi, as he would be called millennia later, was a man of his time, an expert in the ways of the land and survival, who knew every path and every shadow of the mountains. However, on his last journey, destiny had in store for him was an end that would echo through the centuries. As he climbed the steep paths, an unexpected storm broke out, enveloping the landscape in a whirlwind of snow and wind. Otzi, seeking shelter, entered a crevice between the rocks where the cold and time would claim him forever. Otzi's body, preserved by the ice, was discovered thousands of years later, revealing not only his story but also a series of mysteries that would baffle scientists and archaeologists. Alongside him, they were tools and weapons, each telling a part of his life and culture. A copper axe, an unfinished bow, and carefully crafted arrows spoke of a man who lived on the border between survival and civilization. However, what most intrigued researchers was the presence of wounds on his body, suggesting that his death was not simply the result of exposure to the elements, but of a violent conflict. The arrow embedded in his shoulder and the cuts on his hands and arms told a story of struggle and betrayal, an echo of a past where life and death were intertwined in a delicate balance. As studies progressed, theories emerged about Otzi's life and the circumstances of his death. Some suggested he was a leader or a shaman, others that he was an exile or a fugitive. The tattoo marks on his skin, aligned with acupuncture points, indicated advanced knowledge of natural medicine. Meanwhile, the contents of his stomach revealed his last meal: goat meat, grains, and ferns. Each discovery added a new layer of complexity to his story, transforming Otzi into an enigma that defied modern understanding. However, beyond the scientific data, the figure of Otzi began to be surrounded by an aura of mystery and superstition fueled by a series of unfortunate events that seemed to follow those who got too close to his story. The so-called curse of Otzi began to take shape when several people connected with the discovery and study of the Iceman suffered unexpected deaths, from the mountaineer who found his body to the pathologist who examined it. A series of personal tragedies and fatal accidents sowed fear and fascination in equal measure. Some attributed it to coincidence, others to the wrath of ancient gods. But for many, the curse became a warning about the dangers of unearthing the secrets of the past in the shadows of the mountains, where Otzi had found his final resting place. The wind continued to whisper, carrying with it the stories of those who had dared to disturb the sleep of the Iceman. Meanwhile, in laboratories and museums, research on Otzi continued, unraveling more details about his life and times. Genetic analysis revealed surprising connections to modern populations, suggesting that Otzi's descendants still walk among us. His DNA provided clues about his appearance, his health, and the illnesses he suffered, painting a more complete portrait of a man who, despite the distance in time, shared many of the same struggles and hopes as us. However, as more secrets were revealed, the figure of Otzi became even more elusive, a reminder that no matter how far we advance in our knowledge, there will always be mysteries that escape our understanding. At the heart of Otzi's story, the Iceman lies a paradox, a man trapped in time whose life and death continue to resonate in the present. His story is a bridge between the past and the future, a testament to human resilience and the fragility of life. Through him, we glimpse an ancient world where nature was both ally and adversary, and where every decision could mean the difference between life and death. In the cold heights of the Alps, where the ice holds its secrets, Otzi remains a silent guardian of a forgotten time whose story continues to captivate and intrigue all those who dare to listen. In the vast, arid desert of Kakkum lies a phenomenon that defies human understanding: the door to hell. This fiery crater, emitting an orange glow visible from miles away, is a reminder of the indomitable forces that lie beneath the Earth's surface. The story of its origin dates back decades, when a group of Soviet geologists, in their quest to explore and exploit the region's natural resources, stumbled upon an underground cavern filled with natural gas. In an attempt to prevent an environmental catastrophe, they decided to set it on fire, hoping that the gas would burn out in a matter of days. However, the fire continues to burn to this day, as if hell itself had found a way to the surface. As the sun sets on the horizon, the crater becomes a hypnotic spectacle. The flames dance to the rhythm of the wind, casting shadows that seem to take on a life of their own. The heat is so intense that the air around the crater ripples, and distorting their vision, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. The few travelers who venture to this remote place are equally fascinated and terrified, feeling a mixture of awe and respect for the power of nature. The sand, stained deep red by the glow of the fire, crunches under their feet, reminding them that they are treading on ground that does not belong to the world of the living. In the darkness of night, the crater becomes a beacon of light, attracting nocturnal creatures that approach, cautiously intrigued by the heat and light. Local legends speak of spirits that inhabit the crater, guardians of a portal to another world. Some say that if you listen carefully, you can hear whispers coming from the depths, voices telling stories of ancient times, of lost civilizations and forgotten gods. These stories, passed down from generation to generation, have woven an aura of mystery around the gate of hell, turning it into a sacred and feared place. The wind that never ceases in the desert carries with it the acrid smell of burning gas, a constant reminder of the fragility of the natural balance. Scientists who have studied the crater over the years have tried to understand the complexities of this phenomenon, but the gate of hell jealously guards its secrets. Some believe that the fire is fueled by a vast reserve of natural gas, while others suggest that there are forces beyond human understanding at play. Whatever the case may be, the gate of hell remains a mystery to this day. It may be the truth. The crater remains an enigma, a reminder that there are places in the world where science and mythology intertwine. Over time, the door to hell has taken on a symbolic meaning, representing both the destructive power and resilience of nature. It is a reminder that despite technological advances and accumulated knowledge, there are forces that escape human control. The inhabitants of the region who have learned to coexist with this phenomenon see it as a reminder of the need to respect and protect the natural environment. For them, the crater is a testament to the interconnectedness between man and the earth, a relationship that must be cared for and honored. The gate to hell continues to burn, a beacon in the desert that defies the passage of time. Its glow, visible from the night sky, is a constant reminder that there are places in the world where reality and legend intertwine, creating a tapestry of mystery and wonder. Travelers who venture to this remote corner of the world return with stories of awe and reverence, having witnessed a phenomenon that defies logic and feeds the imagination. In the heart of the Kakam Desert, the gate to hell remains an enigma, a reminder that sometimes the answers to life's deepest mysteries are found in the most unexpected places. On the remote island of Iona Moor in the Hebrides archipelago, a solitary lighthouse stood as an eternal sentinel over the stormy waters of the North Atlantic. This lighthouse, built of gray stone and crowned by a tirelessly rotating lantern, was the temporary home of 3 keepers charged with keeping its light burning. The island, battered by icy winds and shrouded in perpetual fog, seemed like a place where time stood still, a corner forgotten by the world where nature reigned with indomitable force. The keepers, men of the sea hardened by life in extreme conditions, faced solitude and isolation with a meticulous routine, aware that their work was vital for the sailors who plied those treacherous waters. One morning, when the supply ship arrived at the island, the lighthouse remained silent, with no signs of life. The ship's captain, accustomed to being greeted by the guardians, felt a chill run down his spine when he saw no one on the dock. Upon disembarking, he found the lighthouse door closed but not locked, which increased his unease. Upon entering, the lighthouse was in an unsettling state of order, as if the keepers had disappeared in the middle of their daily tasks. The table was set for a meal that had never been eaten, and the wall clock had stopped at a time that no longer made sense. The atmosphere was thick, charged with a silence that seemed to scream the absence of those men. As he explored the island, the ship's captain noticed that the weather had been severe in the previous days. The waves had beaten furiously against the rocks, and the wind had left its mark on the sparse, twisted vegetation. However, there were no signs of a struggle or an obvious accident. The lighthouse logs, meticulously kept by the keepers, offered no clues as to their fate. The last entries were routine, describing the weather and daily tasks with no signs of concern or alarm. The island, with its desolate landscape and silent lighthouse, seemed to jealously guard the secret of what had happened. The disappearance of the keepers became a mystery that attracted the attention of the maritime community and beyond. Search teams were sent out to comb the island and its surroundings, but they found no trace of the men. Theories began to emerge, some more plausible than others. Some suggested that a giant wave had swept them out to sea, while others spoke of supernatural forces, of ancient spirits inhabiting the island who had claimed the keepers as their own. The lack of concrete evidence fueled speculation and mystery. The story of the Ain Moor Lighthouse became a legend told in whispers in the taverns of the ports. Over time, the lighthouse was automated and the island became even more deserted, a place where the wind and the sea continued their eternal dance. However, the story of the missing guardians persisted, an enigma that defied logic and reason. Visitors who ventured to the island spoke of a feeling of being watched, of an invisible presence that seemed to lurk in the shadows. With its flickering light, it continued to fulfill its duty, but for those who knew the story, it was also a reminder that some mysteries are never solved and that the sea, in its vastness, holds secrets that men may never understand. Thus, the lighthouse of Alan Moore remained a lonely sentinel in a world of water and rock, its light a beacon of hope and warning to sailors. The disappearance of its guardians became part of the fabric of the island, a story that intertwined in the hearts of those who dared to listen in the stillness of the night. When the fog enveloped the island and the lighthouse cast its light into the darkness, one could imagine the guardians still present in some way, watching eternally from the shadows, part of a mystery that time refuses to reveal. Chapter 31. In the heart of the Languedoc region in southern France lies the small and enigmatic village of Rennes-le-Château, is shrouded in an aura of mystery that has endured throughout the centuries. The story begins with the arrival of the young priest Berenger Saunier in the late 19th century, who was assigned to the village parish. At first, Rennes-le-Château seemed like a quiet and forgotten place with its ruined church and impoverished community. However, Sonier would soon discover that beneath the surface of this peaceful village lay secrets that would change his life forever. While carrying out repairs on the church of St. Mary Magdalene, the priest stumbled upon an unexpected discovery, a set of ancient documents hidden in a hollow pillar of the altar. These documents, written in a cryptic language, contained clues that would lead him to unearth an unimaginable treasure. As Sonier delved deeper into the mystery, he began to notice strange symbols and engravings on the walls of the church that seemed to tell a forgotten story. Intrigued, the priest devoted his days and nights to decipher the enigmas that presented themselves to him. With each discovery, his obsession grew, and soon he found himself embroiled in a world of secret societies, hidden codes, and ancient legends. The villagers watched in amazement as the once humble priest began to spend exorbitant sums of money on restoring the church and building a luxurious villa for himself. Rumors about the origin of his sudden wealth spread quickly, and Rennes-le-Château became the epicenter of speculation and conspiracy theories. The landscape around the village, with its rolling hills and dense forests, seemed to hold its own secrets. Sonier, guided by clues from the documents, explored every corner of the region, convinced that the treasure was not only material but also spiritual. On his solitary walks, he often stopped at specific places as if following an invisible map. The locals began to talk about strange lights in the sky and shadows moving among the trees, further fueling the mystery. The atmosphere in Rennes-le-Château became tense, as if the very air were charged with ancient secrets waiting to be revealed. Over time, Sonier realized he was not alone in his quest. Others, drawn by stories of treasure and secrets, arrived in the village hoping to discover what the priest had found. Among them were archaeologists, historians, and adventurers, each with their own theories and methods. However, Sonier, jealous of his discovery, remained secretive, sharing only fragments of information with those he trusted. The tension between the treasure hunters grew, and Rennes-le-Château became a battlefield of intellects and wills, where each tried to decipher the enigma before the others. As the years passed, the mystery of Rennes-le-Château deepened. Sonier, aged and tired, continued his search until his death, taking many of his secrets to the grave. However, he left behind a legacy of unanswered questions and a town that would never be the same again. The documents he had found mysteriously disappeared, and the symbols in the church remained as a reminder of the story that still awaited to be told. Rennes-Château, with its air of mystery and enchanting landscape, became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking the inexplicable, a symbol of the eternal quest for knowledge and truth. Today, Rennes-Château remains an enigma, a place where the past and present intertwine in an intricate tapestry of myths and realities. Visitors who arrive in the village feel a strange connection to the place, as if the stones themselves whisper stories of ancient times. The Church of Santa Maria Magdalena, with its symbols and engravings, remains an object of fascination and study, a reminder that some mysteries are never completely solved. In the heart of this small village, the legacy of Baronanger Sonier lives on, inviting each new generation to unravel the mystery of Rennes-le-Château and discover the secrets still hidden in its shadows. The mysteries of the world remind us that despite all the scientific and technological advances, there are still questions we cannot answer. From the ancient Moai statues of Easter Island to the opards that seem to defy us with their anachronisms, each enigma invites us to question what we think we know and to seek answers in the unknown. It is these stories that keep our spirit of exploration alive. If you have been fascinated by this journey through some of the most compelling mysteries in history, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are many more enigmas waiting to be explored, and we want you to join us every step of the way. See you next time. This journey through some of the most shocking mysteries in history. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are many more enigmas waiting to be explored, and we want you to join us every step of the way. See you in the next video. to continue unraveling the secrets of the world.